This is Keith with Positively Osceola, another one of our coffee club live talks. And as I always say, this is not a prop. This is a real resource that we utilize here at Positively Osceola. And, we do have the pleasure and honor of discussing a wide array of topics with a wonderful amount of people throughout Osceola County, but none more awesome than these two folks we're going to discuss today. A bit of education. We got with me Wei Wong, the owner of Huntington Learning Center in St. Cloud, and Will Morea also from Huntington Learning Center, one of the educators. How you guys doing?
Great. Good morning.
I'm starting to get awake now, Keith, the courtesy of this coffee. So,
and pronunciation nailed it. So there we go. We can move on past that.
Yep.
So, how was your weekend, everybody? Either one of you jump right in. How was the weekend?
I just staying busy. Tended my garden. Did a little bit of a Father's Day celebration. Called my dad. All good. Keep all the loved ones in mind.
Yeah, that's the. We're all a bunch of busy folks, but it's we're never too busy to try to make sure we touch with family, right?
Yeah, right. I went to take my mom, who might be watching this later on. So hi there. Took her to downtown St. Cloud, show her a little bit of the town. Then just yesterday, I went down to Winter Haven to visit my old man for Father's Day. So it was nice just to get in touch with him and just give him some of the presents, just to remind him just how, amazing and inspirational he's been in my life all these years. So it's been nice.
That's awesome. But also one of them was making sure my son was studying and preparing for a test he had to take yesterday, which he did. So no rest for the weary, as they say. Anyway,
yeah.
So we got a few people popping on. We'll go ahead and make this official, and we'll get chatting about what we're talking about today, which is summer learning, education, and Huntington Learning Center. Again, the theme of coffee lives on in the hearts of man. Anyway. So again, welcome this morning. We have Wei Wong, owner of Huntington Learning Center in St. Cloud, and Will Morea from also Huntington. And this is not the first time we've discussed this subject, but it certainly is worthy of continuously touching base. We all know COVID-19 did many things in the way of changing how we live, how we go through our typical days. Everything changed. Went on, of course, much longer than we had all thought. Still hanging in there and certainly affecting many people throughout the nation and the world. And so our hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to all those folks that have been affected by a terrible pandemic that we're still dealing with. Although it's changed a bit. One of the things that certainly was affected without question is education, and how our students, our kids, approach education. And I think it worked. Some families probably found it to be okay at some points with the digital learning, and then I think some families, and you know much more than I about the details of this, found it to be devastating. But one thing that we did see through the entire pandemic was that Huntington stepped up and was able to really partner with just a ton of families and bring solace to them that the kids don't have to fall behind. It doesn't have to be, a giant minus sign off of their school years. Did a great job and continue to do so. So I want to turn it over to you, Wei. Just kind of give me an idea, how things have gone for you during this challenging time, and then we should get right into why we're here today to discuss how families and students can make sure they don't fall behind and they're ultra prepared for that soon coming school year that's coming here in August.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks, Keith, for having us again. And I know your schedule is busy, so I really appreciate you squeeze us in to talk about this very important topic for learning. Some resources and share with parents and also in the upcoming webinar. As everybody sort of already know that we have been the talk of the town that at Huntington Learning Center, 44 years strong, we just celebrated our 44 years anniversary as a corporation. We have over 300 locations in North America, and we work with kindergarten students through adults in phonics, readings, math, writing, enrichment, foundational skills, and also exam prepping. And like you said, during the last year has been a very challenging time for our students and us as a corporation as to how to help them. And we're the first company that actually migrate from the brick and mortar our binding books to digital books in PDFs in a week over all the 7,500 curriculums that we have in our company, start teaching students online. That is not the best modal to learn, as we all learned that is not a best learning method for all students. Some may thrive, some actually suffer. And through those that actually fall behind because of that learning modals, we very fortunately and pride ourselves to be able to service and helped over 100 of them during the last 15 months or so. So together, we're hoping that the school in our community allow us to serve our mission, which is to give students the best education possible. So, we're looking to today use the time with Mr. Will and myself to share a couple of tips about how to do that, at home and how Huntington can help in general.
Awesome. Well, I guess so I know you have so much information you want to share. We're going to kind of move quickly through. So, Will, why don't you go ahead and explain what you do at Huntington, what's your piece in this solution that you bring to the community, please?
Oh, good morning to you again. Thanks for having us back, Keith. And I know that you or Weiwei said something about us being the buzz of the town, but I just want to first and foremost clarify, we are not here for more B's. We are here for more A's, first and foremost, Mr. Keith. But as far as what I help Ms. Weiwei here at the center is I'm now the assistant director, the started out teacher supervisor, but in my kind of newer role here, I help assist with basically making sure that all the students are progressing accordingly in the programs and make sure that all the teachers are properly trained according to best practices. I occasionally even go back on the floor once in a blue moon to help assist with an older student if they do need help in that assistance for algebra or some variation thereof in math, high school, college, you name it. But really, it's just also reaching out to the parents, getting them to not only apply into the program, but for us to show a little bit of transparency that what they are getting themselves into is not entirely behind closed doors. We want to share the progress both ways. We want to not only let the students improve on their side and show us not only this is where they used to be, but this is where we're getting them. We also want to inform the parents that what your child is doing back here is not just something that should happen just behind closed doors, that the skills and the knowledge that they're building upon, this goes beyond Huntington and really even beyond school itself. Like these are all things that you can develop over the course of a lifetime. And I don't care if we're dealing with kindergartners learning basic phonics, or we're looking at a high schooler preparing for the SAT or ACT for college and beyond. There's always the room for growth and potential here. And part of my job is to facilitate that so that way everybody can achieve their highest potentials.
Well said. We're Positively Osceola, we're very supportive of the school district of Osceola County. I know you are as well, for sure. But the reality was, is that, like I said, things change so rapidly. I can still remember some of the meetings or press conferences, I want to say, with the school district when this all started with the pandemic. And, people were trying to figure out what was exactly going to happen and try to plan for it changing. You seem to jump right in, and I don't think families, it was kind of an automatic, I guess spring break got long, and that sounded like a great idea. And the next thing, it was basically, okay, you're going to have to finish out your school year, and then of course last year as well. So what would you say was the challenge, Weiwei, and how did you react so quickly to be able to set up these families and students with ways for them to not get behind in their education? Well, what was that immediate challenge you guys saw?
Yeah, so that's a good question that literally take hours to answer that, right? So as a company, I think what we've done right is to act fast. When the CDC and the governor has decided to close out schools, and a lot of public facility have decided as a company to digitize all the curriculum. And we changed, by way of administrative background changes with teacher schedule, teacher training. All those are done overnight very quickly to ensure that we can continue with very small interruptions with our tutoring to these students one-on-one via online. So that was the time that it was most difficult for us to migrate from in physical books and having a student response answer sheets to have them, look over the screen and use a PDF book instead. But nonetheless, we were the first one of America was succeeding in providing that online education with very, I would say, to minimal gaps in education to these students who were not even going to school at the time. So I pride ourselves being a company that act fast, sees the opportunity, seeing the crisis in education that we were going to face, which we eventually faced heads on. Over the summer, typically you will see a 30% slide in education for any regular students. Pandemic adds another 60%. So that's why it's critical for us to come to a digital forum like yourself, Keith, to share with the community as to how important summer is. A little bit of a window of opportunity for all the students to not have any slides, utilize the time, catch up, and continue to learn and be ready for the next school year.
And so here you are, you've got summer now, and so that is the topic. So we've covered the COVID thing pretty much, but we'll still be dealing with some of that. So here we are in summer, and I think, for some reason, I've always thought summer break, it's just gargantuan. It's going to be months and months of break. It's so much fun. It's not. It's over like that. And if you have kids in school, I don't know that there has ever been a more important preparation time than this summer.
Exactly. So
Right.
if you don't mind, Keith, go to slide 4. We can take a quick look at those highlights, what summer means. Are they endless, funds, going to the beach, parks, have funds and forget about all these hardship that we've gone through. It's easily done, right? Especially during COVID. We all wanted to get out. We all wanted to see the sun, feel the fresh air and see the sands on our feet. But nonetheless, benefit of summer learning is very important, right? We don't have pressures, quizzes and tests, and times a little bit less competitive. We tend to be a little bit lax. Creativity is blooming in the air for a lot of activities can be done indoor and outdoor that can be infused with education and learning. We have more time to explore what students like to do, whether they like science, whether they like arts and music. All those activities can be included with a little bit of a learning through reading or science projects that are related to the math. So all these are learnings that we want students continue to do, take advantage of the opportunity outside the classroom environment, but not to forget about having learning while they're doing these activities. And other slides will be good for us to look at, Keith, is number 8. If you can jump to that. So as you said, we have 2-3 months of a time. How do we best utilize it? Now, I just kind of brought up the fact that a lot of things should be included with learning in mind, right? Some of the tangible ways that you can see goals that we wanted to have parents and ourselves, this is how we administrate here at the center, is to build skills, which help them to have the motivation and confidence to be succeeding in classroom. So how do we do this summer? What are some of the examples that we can look at together? For instance, we have a summer reading program called Reading Adventure. So read and understand 1 book a week. We recommend 5-book series for the summer. If you enter our Reading Adventure, which, by the way, is available for any free registration on huntingtonhelps.com, under resource, you can see the Summer Reading Adventure program. We allow you to pick from almost 650 books by grade. and interest. There's fiction and nonfiction. Any students, either Huntington or non-Huntington student, can register for this book reading campaign. What it means, Keith, is it's kind of exciting. We're hoping to utilize you to give them a little celebration at the end. Each student who read successfully 5 books and written good book reports, we're going to celebrate them with a gift card of $25, and they will have a reading adventure logo T-shirt, the positively Osceola neon green nonetheless. They also will hopefully be invited to a session similar to this to be shout out, with you and all the community to recognize that they do a good job of being a good reader. So these are things that we are trying to build the skills for student coming up in the fall semester through reading and encouraging to start writing, even though they may not be writing perfectly, but nonetheless setting that their skill set and habit and the desire to put down what they read. It's a small milestone into becoming a good writer. Change in attitude and enjoy the experience as you go are also very important as part of setting the goals. Be comfortable and conversation with adults, speaking about their feelings, about what they wanted to do, how they felt about being falling behind last year. These are all good, experience that parents should start, no matter what age the students is, build that communication before school start. If you do that, they are more willing to communicate that, when school starts, to provide you that feedback if they encounter experience that, they suffer from certain subject that they feel like they are not understanding, they're not comprehending. That will be a good bridge gap to establish now. Be curious about current events, right? Because right now during the summer, there's a lot of activities. A lot of online museums are doing virtual tours that students should be able to enjoy from within their own home without going to that museum in a different state where they may not want to take on the airplane and to fly there right now. So those are the things that we want people to start, think about a paradigm shift, changing their attitude, be more engaging in students' mind. As an adult, we are having our own challenges just to live through pandemic, put food on the table and maintain a jobs and go out and grocery shop and get gas. But can you imagine how the little ones feel?
Yeah.
Especially dealing with education, not going to school, not having friends to play with. So change the paradigm right now during summer by having that connectivity with your child. Talk to them about academic, not just about, when are we going to the park. Enjoy the experience by learning together as a family, create a family tree. This is a time to, allow them to cut out little things and paste it in the big, presentation board. That's a great fine motor skill training. Talk to them in the park. Take them to a park and capture all the stuff that they see, and then come back and do a project as a result. Take on a leadership role. Let them create a plan for the family, for instance, as small as a family meal by grocery shopping, going to the supermarket, get the carts, pick out the ingredients, pay money, get the changes all by themselves. Do the math, how much are you going to get back in change if we buy all these food? Come back, do the measurement of the ingredients, cooking. All these are learning components to academic related contents, right? So we want parents to continue to think like this, which will be a huge beneficial segue into the fall semester if they continue to, take on activities like that, continue to read, be engaged with their parents, and feel like they are being held accountable by taking some roles in their lives so they can participate in day-to-day family activities.
I think it's tempting. Maybe again, I'm not wanting to talk about COVID too much today, but the reality is, I think it's with things opening up, loosening up a tad in the United States. It's tempting to just say, look, I'm gonna pay the price. We're gonna travel the whole entire time. But then here comes August, and now it's catch up again. I'd be kind of hypocritical not to say this. So my son needed some assistance at one point, and it was his first year at Valencia, and I reached out to you guys. You're outstanding, and that was a catch-up time. We were obviously, we put it off a little long, and then it was kind of a feverish thing. We needed help, and it was extraordinary what you were able to do, both Wei Wei and of course Will. It was outstanding. We'll never forget that, and we continue to utilize your services. But the better idea is don't wait till you're behind. Don't wait till the kids are already feeling like they're lost a bit. It's to get on top of it now. I'm correct in saying that, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to turn to Mr. Will in a little bit about exam prep since he's an expert, probably the best teacher in-house with math skills. I kid about me doing, calculus puzzle for fun, but I never was allowed to teach our students. So he holds the record of being the best math teacher. So as far as not waiting to last minute, that's absolutely the goal, Keith. I wanted to, kind of bring up the fact that during the summer, we talk about younger student and student for all ages, what they need to do by infusing that activities with academic content in their day-to-day life, but also to remind our, juniors, sophomores, senior, high school students to build that career mind and start exam prepping. We do have 3 to 4 different exam, SAT, ACT coming up in fall 2021. This is the best time to close that gap and hit that super score goal. We have a lot of students coming here to do the test. We expect to have more. For those that are just kind of waiting on the fence, not sure, if they need to, exam prepping because they weren't sure if they can retain the information by the time the exam comes, don't wait. It's a continuation in process, right? That you will learn and build and deposit those knowledge up to the time that you need to take the test. On average, Keith, we are seeing in this school district about 990 to 1,100 points of SAT score without prepping. When they first get tested here at Huntington and ACT, about 19 to 21 points. And these are not good enough a score to really get you to the college of your dream or any kind of scholarship opportunity. So a lot of time, these students who tested at these benchmark baseline level prep with us 2-3 months, even 4 or 5, depending on their level at the beginning, until they hit their score goal. And they will hit their score goal if they follow the plan and the study regimen and do the homework assignment on our Huntington online exam prep platform. You would bound to see on average of 280 points increase on SAT and about 9 to 10 points increase in ACT, and that is a huge opportunity opening doors for students. So I'm going to turn it to Mr. Will to add more about his viewpoint of how exam prep is important for our older students that are in high school.
Awesome.
Yeah, of course, because obviously as we're looking at the months of June, July, and the better part of August, I think the one thing I'd like to tell a lot of the newer students that we're getting is the main advantage that you have right now is time, because for a lot of these, juniors and rising seniors, they can really take through at least the December ACT, SAT, to say nothing of potentially early 2022. So I bring this to everyone's attention because we do occasionally get some students who do have lofty score goals, but then they test it and maybe it has to bring them back down to earth a bit. But to me, I think the best thing they have going for them is you do have months plural to prepare, but it's up to you as to how do you use that time and how do you make good use of it. Because ultimately, when you're here, most students are in session for about 2 hours per session, and they're usually here a handful of times, a couple of days a week. But really what they do on their own time outside of us, that is really going to determine do they hit their score goal or not? Because what I always tell a lot of students as well is that if you show up and pay attention, you will go up. I can assure you of that. But if you really want to potentially double or triple that score goal increase, you need to not only do a lot of preparation on your own time with respect to our homework, but also make good use of, as Wei Wei alluded to, our exam prep website that gives, multiple practice tests, short quizzes, how-to videos. So there's a lot of preparation, but it really is up to the students, especially because a lot of them are going to have plans of going into college. They need to, take charge of their own learning. They need to, do this independently. And part of the reason we kind of want to hold them accountable is we provide the resources and the expertise, be it myself or other teachers, for math and verbal. But in the grand scheme of things, we're not there to take the test for them. It's up to the student. And really, the summer is the best time to really get a head start going forward, so that you don't spend even more than the first month or two of the new school year stressed about test preparation already.
Right.
Absolutely. So Keith, if you don't mind, just go to slide 18 to Will's point. We can have some visual and then, talk briefly about why is that so important and things that they can do before we kind of bring up the webinar this week. Slide 18, it's about 18. I think it says building career. Yeah, that's the one. Perfect. So building career and life skills, what does that mean for these seniors that Mr. Will just kind of brought up the urgency about exam prepping? We have more time now to spend together in the summer. These are the time that should be spending for junior, sophomore, senior high school student, preparing them for college and beyond, right? Including doing some problem solving of what they need to do in terms of, study plan in the upcoming year, meaning how do they organize their study material. Do some research on campus orientation day. What are the available days available for you to take a tour at the campus of the college that you want to apply or go to, right? And also build that resume. Resume is not only for professional who wants to seek opportunity in the career field, but also for our high school student who wants to get into college. If you have a resume to speak about yourself, your experience, what you have done so far academically, also with your community service and everything else you get going as you representing you yourself to be selected among other students, speak volume for the entrance process. So you want to have a good SAT or ACT score per Mr. Will. You want to develop that resume that, brings yourself up to, highlight yourself to why do you have that advantage that people should select you to go into these competitive colleges. Write that college entrance essay. Pick a topic that will make yourself shine. Those are all important skills that you should take time when you're dealing with regular schoolwork. You are just keeping up with grades and GPAs and homework. You have very little time to build these skills. So this will be the time best to invest in doing these development.
And you mentioned the word invest. That I think that really what my wife and I talk about that. And it really comes back down. I know it's parents and students, but we tell our son, it's like, this is a time you have to invest in yourself. I mean, you have to invest in yourself. None of this happens automatically. I think when I was getting ready for school, I try to remember that far back. But I think it's a tad bit different now. I can remember not knowing what was about to happen. Yeah. I just can remember I selected which school I wanted to go to, and I just started going. I guess you just kind of pick it up as you go, but it's just much more complex these days. The world is not the same as it was, and I know that sounds cheesy, but it is. It's true. It's not the same world.
That's a lot more competitive too, Keith, because it's not just, the local kids want to go to UCF. It's a lot of people in state, within the country, and I can only imagine the international presence that University of Central Florida must have as a major metro hub with a lot of rise in STEM fields and opportunities. So It's not merely, I'm just going to pack my bags and just head up the road, I-4. No, there's a lot of people who want to go to that school too. So you got to be at least a little bit honest with yourself and say, well, if I want to go to this school, but I'm currently at this, and what more can I have to do? Because that's all I always tell the students from the very first overview session that they have is, all things being considered, if your GPAs are the same, your extracurriculars are the same, you have glowing reviews, but the person who has a 24 in the ACT is more likely to get into UCF than somebody with the 14, Right. And certainly, even if we kind of narrow that gap somewhat, even if we get them to even a 21 on the ACT or an 1100 on the SAT, to me, it's like your chances are greater than where they could have been. And we don't want to take that risk even more so where getting into a good school like a UCF or a USF down the road. I think it's even more imperative that you do prepare early on so that when you do get to college, you're not thrown for a loop when your professors aren't giving you handouts all the time, or that you're being expected to, have people kind of let you kind of do things on yourself. You have to kind of take that in your own hands too.
Right. I think Mr. Keith brought up a great point. Sustainability, when they get into college, can they sustain themselves? So our goal is not just to get them into college with the best score, but to sustain that life beyond, to be continue to be successful. We are battling as a state to have very high dropout rate at our colleges right now, university. So we wanted to make sure our students, once they get into the dream of their school, they continue to thrive and until they graduate. And then, not to mention, Keith, for the Bright Future Scholarship, you need a minimum of $1,250 for a 75% scholarship opportunity, or 100% scholarship opportunity at a score of 1330. So on the SAT, and then 25 and 9 on the ACT. So those are goals that you need to work hard to get to. It's not something test it one day and be able to obtain. So time is of the essence to prep for.
That alone right there, that could be a show that we, if you guys, I know you're going to be busy all summer, certainly in the fall, but if we have a chance to invite you back here in the very, very near future, that could be right there a show that we discuss, college prep, everything you just talked about. That could be a specific show that I think a lot of people could really benefit from. And because you're talking about, so I'm in the parent world. So immediately when you talk scholarship, I think that your student, your child, is basically assisting in your business or your finance area of your life, because what they do is going to affect finances in the overall in the household. It certainly what happens in my son's life affects my finances. So that would be, if you have a chance, I'd like to, after this show's over, talk about rescheduling and having that kind of be one thing we focus on, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, we'd love to. There's so many opportunities that we wanted to share with the community. Go ahead.
Love it. So why don't you tell us what's going on coming up soon? If I'm correct, you've got something happening this week people, I'm sure, would be interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. Our regular Thursday webinar. Mr. Will, would you like to share that with the team, or would you like me to?
You can start and I can look over it myself and throw in my input later on.
Yeah, absolutely. So this webinar, Keith, again, is one of our Thursday free webinar for everybody in the country to register. You can register, watch it later if you didn't get a chance to at that 1 o'clock spot on June 24th. You can watch it by clicking a link at your own time. That's why we ask people to register. Not that we want to spam them. We don't do that as a corporation. You would only be getting a link if you register, so that you can watch it live or watch it later. The topic is about better utilize summer to get ready for the new school year, which is kind of the entire time that we've been talking, Keith and Mr. Will. How do we be prepared for a regular school year? Now we're, coming out of pandemic, hopefully sooner than later, in 100% recovery, to return in person instructions. Students have been away for digital learning. How do they re-engage themselves, prepare themselves to have that study skill, to follow instruction? So we are going to talk about topics with our experts, including organization, time management, self-advocacy, building good teacher relationship once you go back to school. During this Huntington How-To, you will get to ask your own question of the experts. So this is not a recorded presentation. If you're able to join live, you get to ask something relevant that is related to your child. So we do highly encourage students and parents to register or share the good news that other parents may benefit from these kind of webinar to get their kids ready. Learn about how Huntington, use these resources to help our students. So, Mr. Will, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, so just really one of the other significances about this webinar is that it really does also give some great tips and strategies on how what are ways that you can do your student to improve at home as it relates to summer activities, or any way that you can get them to go about learning in their own way without making it feel academic? Not necessarily trying to trick them, but kind of getting them to see that, just because school has properly let out and after the, kind of the crazy school year that it has been, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should just shut your brain off altogether. Because as you alluded earlier in the call, Keith, that before you know it, it's going to be 4th of July. And then by that point, it's going to be early August. And then you're kind of like, whoa, where did all the time go? So it's all the more imperative to just really get any parents out there, perhaps any teachers who want to have some suggestions on how to maybe kind of keep in mind what, students might be going through as they come back that first week or two, and just kind of ways of learning to cope with that potential of learning loss out, after school is let out by late May.
And so if I'm correct now, that is a free webinar, correct?
Correct. Yeah. All of our webinars are free and typically being held on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern.
And of course, you can always register with providing your name, email, phone number, and then if you can join live, perfect. But if not, as always, a link will be sent to the email address that you provide. That way you can watch it after the fact. So that way you can kind of take your own notes, and then you can kind of suggest, okay, how best can I help my own child out there if I feel like he or she is just kind of, sitting around the house doing nothing. How can I make them be a bit more academically engaged without making them feel like it's back to school sorts?
Right, sure. And so we'll make sure we include that link as well on this. We'll add that in. We send out an email. We'll send out another one. And if you're just, if I think it's simple, you go to huntingtonhelps.com, go to the top menu, hit resources, drop down to webinars, and then boom, you'll be there. Cool. I've done that a couple times for sure.
You're the pro. Yes.
Yeah. So anything else, Wei, you want to share before we call it?
No, that's it. I mean, these are great resources, and thanks for allowing us again to share. But again, the one line, if you walk away from this whole conversation, is just keep learning alive over the summer. Set goals, and opportunities are everywhere for us to, tie that back to what they learn at school. Be curious and be creative, and call us if there's any need before that time comes for fall starts for younger students to catch up with their foundational skill, or exam prep student who want to hit that school goal.
Well, all great and very important content for sure. I opened up by saying we are super blessed to be able to have great guests on these shows, and we have a show at least one or two every day. But I can't think of something more important than being prepared. I know you said the word prepared, probably all of us have together probably a dozen times in this show, and with good reason. So that would be, I guess, the way we would leave it. Make sure you don't wait till August. The open house that happens at the school district is not the time to begin prepping. Do it today, great day. And I would say if they have any questions, they can just call you, right?
Yeah, they can call us or go to our website, which is huntingtonhelps.com. It's a location-based page. You can see our phone number being listed there at 407-789-0228. And in fact, just something to be sharing with the community that we are very excited to celebrate our expansion. Our center will double the size in about 6 months or so. So we will be able to adopt more students to continue to learn, catch up their academic, or get ahead, or get that scholarship of their dream. So coming up in January, we will double our size, including a private school opportunity for student who wants to come and learn with us during the day as well. So we're most excited.
Awesome. So great news coming from Huntington for sure. Don't know what exactly would have fired had you guys not been around during all this, because I know that a lot of families are certainly in a much better place with their students, and their students being in a better place because you guys were here helping everyone. So we thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you again.
You got it. And Will, as I said, we thank you. Of course, you work directly with my son, and
that's right.
Yeah, my wife's in the background. Damn, my wife's in the background.
Welcome, Lisa.
Praising you guys. I tell you, want blood pressure to go down? Just call Huntington. I'm telling you. It's a good thing. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys very much. Again, this is Keith with Positively Osceola, along with Wei Wei from Huntington Learning Center and Mr. Will. We appreciate you guys joining us and making a positive difference in and around Osceola County.